Welcome back, guys, to another live stream. My name is Mike, aka Decimal Punked, and we are back in the Unreal Engine 5.7.4. This may look a little empty at the moment, but it's not. We are basically creating an organizer type game, organizing simulator, and at the moment we have, I've lost count of how many props I've modelled, but we've got all these models, and there's quite a lot. We've got a highlighting feature on the objects when the player moves over them. If the player picks up an item, at the moment at the top left you can see there the print string, the developer print string is showing the item, and also the integer, which is basically the carry capacity. So I've been doing a lot of planning for the code and logic for collecting items and dropping items. So what we're going to be doing this stream, I'm probably going to do like a 2-hour stream where we're going to work on the hotbar, which you can see at the bottom left. There's 4 kind of transparent like backgrounds. They're the slots, so the idea is when you pick up an item it would appear in that slot. The logic I've got for this, I've planned it out on paper. Got that in front of me. Welcome to the stream, guys. Feel free to drop a comment, don't be shy. Yeah, so essentially what we're going to do is, there's quite a few things to do. We basically need 3 variables under the spawn manager, and I'll basically talk you through the logic as I'm programming. So at the moment, if we just come out of here, I want to go to our blueprint. So we've got a level manager. Yeah, we've got a level manager, and what is the purpose of the level manager? That's to track collected objects and progress, which we have here. So this is the total objects. If we just go to the spawn manager, BP level manager. So basically what the spawner does, guys, is the spawner handles the loot that is generated in the levels. Okay, and as it adds as it spawns the items, it basically adds to the total objects variable under the level manager. So the level manager acts as keeping progress of the amount of objects that need to be collected. If we just go back to my folder, so we've got BP spawner is basically the spawn manager. Actually, hold on. BP spawner. Right, so the level manager tracks the collected. Sorry, I'm just talking myself through the logic here. We're going to need an inventory manager. So the reason why we're going to have an inventory manager, guys, is because I don't know how other people do this, but I've planned this out on paper, and in my head it makes a sense of how to do this. So essentially, if we simulate the game, what's going to happen is as we collect an item, because all of these objects are basically children of the spawn BP spawner, right? So essentially these items are a child, so what we want to happen is as we collect an item, this will basically appear in our hotbar, right? So we're basically going to add this object to the a new array which will go under the inventory manager. So we're going to add this, and then after we've added it to an array, we're going to destroy this object that you can see, and we're going to spawn that object, but through the inventory manager. So essentially we're taking it out of the spawn manager and then creating a new one for the inventory manager, because when we release the object, we're going to want this to kind of be respawned by the spawn manager. It sounds a little bit confusing, but I know what I'm doing. I know the logic should work. Welcome to the stream, RP. I hope you're well. Now, what I'm going to do quickly is I'm actually going to do a reference to this. So what I'm going to do is we're going to call this level manager ref. So if I actually copy this and bring it here, level manager, get actual class level manager. We're going to call this level manager ref. Okay, and then we're going to move this along, put this here, and then when we go over here, instead of doing this, we can basically just drop in the level manager ref, and that would go in there, that would go in there, and we can basically just tidy this up a little bit, like minimize the mess, not the mess, but you know what I mean. Right, so if we have that there, we'll get rid of this, and then we connect that to that, and then we'll just bring that down. Have that there, it looks nice. And then I'm gonna shift this and that. We're just gonna move that backwards. Okay. So if I compile and save, that should work nicely. There we go, top left, 700 total objects. Okay. Right, so that's sorted out the reference. So now if we ever need to access that for whatever reason, we've got the reference to do so. And then as for this logic here, this bit just makes sure items spawn all over the place. I'm actually curious. If I let's just check the position of the spawner. So the spawner's up there, that's 1000 on the Z. So I'm going to do 1000 on the Z there. Okay. Okay. Right. So this logic I originally put in was because in the template room there was no roof. It was not an enclosed space, so the objects were getting pinged into oblivion. But now that we have a sealed room, the objects should not go outside of this area. But they will probably get pushed with force all around the room. So we're going to temporarily plug this one in. It's the same. It's basically the same as this, but without the customized transforms. So we're just going to see if all the items, what happens basically. So this will be in the loop body, so I'm just going to put that in there. Oh dear. Okay. Oh wow. Okay. Let's just change that. So try to adjust location but always spawn. Let's see if that helps. Right, there's still... What is going on there? The spawn manager shouldn't have... block all dynamic. No, you want ignore. You want no collision. If I just say overlap all, so what was happening was because I basically put a cube on that for just a visual reference, it was basically blocking some of the items. But it looks... I mean, that looks like 100. Obviously, what we'll do is we'll remove the cube. But that looks like all of the items have actually appeared in the arena, which is... What is going on with this? What is going on with these scissors? Dude, what is going on with those? We're going to add a cursor as well. Okay, right, so what I'm going to do is in the logic for the spawner, I'm going to put a comment on there. Remove old after testing. Ensure all objects inside arena. There we go. So essentially, like I say, when I first did this with no roof, items were getting chucked all over the place. So on the option here, try to adjust location but always spawn. Hey Tech, Drowan and Clover. This is a Organiser simulation style game that I'm developing. Building in the Unreal Engine. I'm sorry for the vertical view for those on YouTube. I'm unable to stream horizontally the same time as I am to Twitch. But yeah, it's basically an Organiser game where you kind of pick up objects and you'll be taking them to their place. The first level for our game is going to be a stationary shop. Yes, I'm making a game, Drowan. So the first level is a stationary shop. So I've modelled a load of props. We've got like stapler, scissors, pencils, pencil case, reams of paper, and then we've got some sealed pens in packets and stuff. There's quite a few more assets to come, and then we'll be modelling the interior of the shop, and then getting the functionality coded for placing items in their stack where they belong. So tonight's stream is just sorting out the inventory. You can see it at the bottom left there. Well, YouTube viewers won't be able to see it, but it's on the bottom left. There's 4 slots. Those on YouTube, if you did want to see this better dimensions, I'd probably recommend checking out Twitch. It's exact same stream, but it will be fully landscape and you'll see everything. So at the moment it looks like that's working, so I'm going to leave the collision handling there to try to adjust location but always spawn. So if multiple objects are being spawned at the same point and there's problems with the collision, it should be able to adjust it. So we won't remove this. Just actually what we could do is we could temporarily unplug this and just move it aside. And what I'll do is I'll put that in a comment box and just say redundant old spawn. And like I say, we're not going to get rid of that, because if we do, if this isn't working, there's a problem with it, we can revert back to what we know works fairly well. Okay, so I'm going to just move this. I've got a bit of OCD. It's really funny that I'm making a game on organising and I've got OCD. The irony. Right, we'll put that there. I will get rid of that. And we can actually get rid of this one. Reconnect this. And then just move that up to straighten that. There we go. Nice. So as we introduce more levels to the game, this logic will probably change, because this point here, guys, all of this highlighted code, what that is doing is it's essentially spawning the items that I need for the current level, which is, there's only one level at the moment. So what I would probably do is we would probably have an array of the levels, and then for each level there would be a prop list. So I could actually probably rename this to like level 1 prop list or something, because on here, on the default values, we have all of the assets for this level. So obviously as we change between levels, it would be good to keep this logic here, but the prop list is based on the level, so the logic can basically stay. It just gets changed, but I'm not going to do that at the moment. Right, so what I need to do is I just need to look at my code for a minute. So the spawn manager, I should call that spawn manager really. I'm going to rename that. I'm hoping it won't cause any problems. If I rename it to there we go. Right, there's nothing in the level manager. So the purpose of the level manager is to track total objects in the level. As we have multiple levels, we'll add more details here, and this will get populated accordingly. So level manager, spawn manager, and we need an inventory manager. Okay, so under the spawn manager, we're going to add some new variables. So we're going to be adding object to spawn, object spawn location and respawned objects, which is going to be an array of game objects. Like I say, at the moment, this prop list and all the spawned objects, that gets handled at the start of the game, but we're going to need something separate. I'm just thinking, hold on. Alright, let's make our inventory manager. Spawn manager. I could probably get rid of that cube actually. That was more just for a visual reference. I don't know why I added a cube. I don't think there's any collision. No. So there's nothing in there. We'll just simulate. That should work perfectly fine. Yeah. Oh, full. Okay. Okay, spawn manager has... Could probably get rid of default. I can't actually get rid of that. Not a problem. Level managers for tracking, spawn managers for spawning. So what I might do is I might just actually put this part, spawns items for the level. Adjust code as more levels are implemented, e.g. array of levels and array of props, both the same naming convention to align with integers with integer switch. So that's a note to myself. What we'll do is we'll just make that like a nice golden colour. That all works. I like just checking things work, every little change I do. Okay. Sip of the coffee. Okay, so the spawn manager object to spawn. Okay, so when, yeah, right, okay. Add object, add to array game objects. Inventory. Add to array game object. Okay, all right. Let's make an inventory manager, guys. Right, so we're going to go new blueprint class, actor. We're going to call this BP inventory manager, and we're going to drop this into the scene. Just reset that to 0. It doesn't need to be anywhere else. Open that up. I'll save all. Okay, so we have our inventory manager there, and it's in the level. We've got inventory manager, BP level manager, and BP spawner. We did rename that, so I'm just gonna copy that and place that there. There we go, and that should still work. Yep. Beautiful. What the f... What's... What's happened there? How has that got stuck in the wall? How did that happen? How... I can see like a gap. That's very peculiar. Interesting. Welcome to the stream, guys. Okay, so we have our inventory manager. Okay, so we need to open up the blueprint for our player. What is that? Okay. Right, so this is left mouse is to pick up, right mouse is to drop. I will be implementing controls so that the players can use a gamepad if they want, but at this stage I'm just doing it keyboard and mouse. Right, this part of the code was to do with rotating the object whilst it's in your while you're holding it. I thought it would be a nice little feature for anyone that, I don't know, wanted to you know, inspect an item. Hello Graham, welcome to the live stream. Thanks for tuning in. Good evening, good evening. Right, that top code's not relevant to me at the moment, so we're under the first person character. So when we collect an item, okay, we need to add that item to an array of game objects, which is going to be under the inventory manager. So what we're going to do is, what name should I give this? I'm going to, okay, right, got you. So we're going to create a new variable and we're going to call this inventory. And this is going to be an array of game objects. Actor object reference. Okay, so the inventory variable is a object reference. Object reference for the actor. Okay, so we're going to add the object to array game objects, which is named inventory. Right, so what we're going to do now, is that a northern accent? No, I'm South England. North south of Cambridge. That's the accent. But I am actually 100% northern blood. So it's funny that you ask. I am actually 100% Yorkshire blood. But I've lived in Essex all my life, pretty much. Right, so from the first person character, I'm going to need a little marker pen just to mark off these jobs as I go. So when we collect the item, when we pick up the item, it attaches it, grab component at location with rotation, and then this collected items. Cast the BP pickup. Oh right, that's getting a name. Okay, pickup name. Yeah. Let me just double check this. One sec, guys. We've got a lot of stuff going on here. So these should have their name. Yeah, pickup name, brown paperclip as a string variable. I'm just rereading my logic here. So if the component has a tag, we get the length of collected items. Right, so this is basically, I see what I've done. This was when I first started doing this. Hampshire. Oh, okay, nice. Well, nice to meet a fellow UK dev. I do a fair bit of game dev streaming and modelling, so nice to meet you, dude. Are you programmer, artist, design? What's your specialty? So what I've done in here is I've actually put this array within the first person character, but technically this should be going into the inventory manager, because what this is doing is it's basically just keeping track. Collected items is obviously 0. When we grab an item, we're adding that to collected items, just keeping track of how many things are collected. But we can actually change this code because we're implementing this logic here into the inventory manager. Up here, inventory. Okay, so what we're going to do is carry capacity is 4. So this bit's correct. Let's change this one. So have we got an event we can play? Yes, we do. Right, I'm just going to make a reference to the array of the inventory manager. So what we're going to do is go get actor of class, and it's going to be inventory manager. And I'm going to make that to a variable, and we're going to call this inventory manager ref, and I'm going to add this to a new category. So it's not character pickups or time. We'll call this we'll just call this refs. Okay, so inventory manager ref. And then from here we should be able to get the array. There we go, get inventory. Excellent. Excellent, much better. Binary, welcome to the stream, bro. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I mean, I get people tuning from all over the world, Graham. Quite a lot of Americans, Canada, just all over. But there are quite a few British devs about. I think I have quite a few in my stream from time to time. Engine systems, editor tools. So essentially programming then, by the sounds of it. That sounds pretty cool. What engine? What kind of language and what game engine do you work in or have a preference for? Okay, so we're gonna get our thing here, get this, get the inventory ref, and then we're gonna get inventory. There we go. So collected items is 0. So this one should also default at 0. Going back to here, so now what we need to do is we need to get the length of that. How's the music for you guys? Is it a good level? Oh, Unreal Engine, fantastic, Graham. Awesome. I definitely prefer Unreal to Unity. I'm about to start my third and final year of university, and we have to learn both engines, Unreal and Unity. I mean, Unity's you know, it's fairly good, but I definitely prefer Unreal. It's just the GUI's so much nicer and things just feel clearer to navigate through, you know? There's no confusion. What you see is what you get, kind of thing. That's how it feels for me anyway. Right, we're just going to tidy this up. Move that back. What we'll do is we'll move that back there. And then we'll just drop this down a tad. Just like that. Okay. Right, so we check that the item has pickup. Component has tag pickup. If we just go into here, the tag itself, interactable. I don't know why I called it fucking interactable. The tag has to be on a static mesh pickup because it's the component. Right, so we check it has the component that's targeted has pickup as the tag, and then our next check is that the player has space to carry the object. So at the moment we know on game start the inventory is at 0, so provided that the inventory is less than a carry capacity of 4, then we allow them to grab the object, and then we, if they're full, we just do a little developer thing to say full, baby. Hey Jens, welcome to the stream. I'm studying computer game design. Yeah, Unity. We've had to, as designers, we've had to use visual scripting in Unity, and it's been extremely difficult, especially when trying to find resources of how things have been done. There is barely any tutorials on visual scripting, and if you do find stuff, it starts off looking like it is, and then it ends up diving into hard line coding of C#, which is completely useless to a designer. But I have made a few games in Unity with visual scripting, what used to be known as Bolt. Godot interests me. I wouldn't mind checking it out at some point, maybe when I finish graduating. Yeah, that's true on Unreal Engine. Oh yeah, I'm at university studying it, Graham. I'm loving it. I've made 8 games, I think. I'm on track for a first. It's going really well. I'm in my element. I absolutely love it. Best decision ever. I've learnt 3D modeling myself. I bought a pack of learner material from gamedev.tv before I started university. So I've learnt a lot of modeling using Blender. Mainly low poly stuff, not super high detailed. Yes, undergraduate I think's the word for it. I'll be, I think, level 6 in September. I'll be working on level 6. I think 7 is masters or PhD. I don't really know, but yeah. I think I'm getting a BA Hons. I think that's the grade. You know what's it called, graduation grade certificate. What's it? BA Hons. Yeah. No. I need to just get in there and get a job. I've got 4 boys, so I need a job to support them. I can't do another year. It's a struggle as a student financially. Alright, let me just have a quick look at this, guys. I just need to swap out the collected items. Because I've planned out the logic for my collecting and dropping items. So just bear with me one moment. Right, so we need to... What I could do... I'm going to take collected items out because we're doing this one. To save the lines getting messy, I know what I could do is literally take this and plug it into here and here. But just because there's quite a lot of lines already... Oh, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just... No, I can do this. Okay, so we need to take this because inventory manager, we're going to plug that into there. And then we're going to put a node just there. And then we'll do another one here, out there actually. And then we're going to go down. That's what I love about Unreal, just making it nice and tidy. And we do that. And then we can drag off to there. Move that back. Beautiful. That was nice and easy. Let me read your comments. Yeah, I'm a mature student. I'm 40 next year, dude. I actually prefer being a mature student. It's got your head screwed on. You're there to graduate and get the best grades. And I like going above and beyond. I like trying to get the highest mark possible. So I really put in the hours to my work. Do I plan to go work somewhere? Yeah, I've got a company I'd like to work for. But I also want to make my own games, so see what happens when I graduate. It'd be nice to get some experience in industry and not just go straight into indie, even though I could probably do indie. We'll see what happens. It's very hard, especially the workload can be very intense. I've done 11, 12-hour sessions at times. It's hard, dude. Right, we're just going to test this logic, so it shouldn't be any problems. There we go. Right, so I replaced the collection array. So that's all working now. So we should be able to delete that without any problems. Perfect. So it's right for the carry capacity variable to be on the player, because if we decide to introduce abilities and rewards to the player to help speed up the collection process, it makes sense to have that on the player character. So let me just tick that little job off the list. Add to array game objects under... Oh, no, I didn't do that. Hold on. Sorry, the whole point of me doing that... One second. Bear with me, guys. I agree with you, Graham. There's nothing else like it. It's very fun. It's very absorbing, time consuming. You lose yourself in the dev. I find that so often with modeling and developing. Like, it's just crazy where the time goes. But it's so much fun. Good career change by the sounds of it, dude. Okay, right, let me just concentrate for a sec. So our logic for grabbing objects via the physics handle is to get the hit component. And then what this is doing here... Oh no, wait. No, it's already doing it, yeah. Get the actor. Because we're basically targeting the static mesh of our actor. So say it's a pencil, then we're getting that actual parent, that pencil, the blueprint actor, and adding it to our inventory. So that is actually a job done. Let me just tick that off. Oh great, I've got a pen that doesn't work. I got this as free merch. That's shit. That is shit. Okay, right. Next up is to destroy object in the array called game manager, but it's actually spawn manager. Destroy object in the array. Right, give me a sec, guys. Sorry, sorting out my desk. Oh, it is very challenging. I think my favourite thing is the bug fixing, solving, problem solving. I love it. You really rack your head. It keeps the brain stimulated. Right, so once we've added the object to the array, basically here is where, after here, is where we want to essentially destroy the object. Just wondering if I should rework that logic actually. Because what I'm doing is when we pick something up, we're technically destroying it, but then we're spawning a new instance of it via the inventory. But either way, this should work if I plug it at the end or the beginning. No, designers aren't required to know any code. We're required to know visual scripting, so blueprints in Unreal or the visual scripting, aka Bolt in Unity. Okay, so the next step is to destroy the object which was spawned from here. But technically I shouldn't need to do that because it's already going to get destroyed. Let's just see. So if we got that owner, because this is what we want to destroy. We don't want to destroy the component because that won't destroy the actor. We need to destroy the whole actor. So I'm going to say destroy actor. Why did I do that? Why don't I just... Hold on. Just do that. Return value, actor object, get the owner of the component, and destroy that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a little dash there. Now what we need to do is spawn object. Okay, alright. This was where I needed... Oh, fucking hell. Hold on, hold on. They are deprecating blueprints in UE6. Getting rid of them? You joking? Why would they do that? I've heard of Verse. Fucking hell, that's going to change a lot, isn't it? If they're doing that. What are they going to replace it with? Oh, Jesus Christ. Right. Well, designers will be fucked. I don't know how university's going to handle that. I might query that with them, actually. Is that a confirmed thing, that they're going to be definitely getting rid of blueprints? On just one sec. I have got my logic right for this. Destroy the object. And then we need to spawn it. But we need 3 variables in order to spawn. The spawn's going to be a custom event under the spawn manager. Okay, I'm going to, in here, we're going to call this custom event spawn held object. Actually, I'm just going to call it spawn object. Yeah. And then we're going to have, I'm going to do my variables now. So we need object to spawn, which is going to be an actor reference. Actor reference. And then we're going to need an object spawn location. Actually, Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I'm a little bit sad because Blueprints is amazing, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Don't suppose you know when the 6th version of the Unreal Engine is maybe scheduled for release? Sorry, I'm just looking at my code here, guys. Give me 1 second. Right, inventory manager. No, spawn manager. Object to spawn. Object spawn location. That's going to be a vector. Object spawn location, and then inventory manager is here. Inventory, the actor array. Right, I'm going to leave that respawned one out. I don't think I need that just yet. Right, so spawn object. So spawn manager. I don't think I've got spawn manager ref. BP spawn manager, set that as a reference. Oh, let me read your comments. Oh my god, chat's going crazy. Hold on. Oh, a year or two. Oh, that's good. It's a shame that they're, by the sounds of it, moving to AI. Yeah, I mean, it's a safe play, isn't it? If they're gonna scrap actors and blueprints, just keeping, well, working on an older version of Unreal. Okay. Right, sorry guys. Right, so I've got my spawn manager ref. So when we destroy this object, what we're going to do is we're going to spawn an object. So I'm going to get the spawn manager ref and then spawn object. Okay, so spawn manager. Right, so in here, right, the object to spawn. So if we go back to here, fucking hell. The object to spawn is, well, it's basically that, isn't it? So that's from the inventory manager ref. But it needs to be, I tell you what, if we just quickly set the object to spawn before we destroy that. and the object to spawn or setting the object to spawn is going to come off of this, as this is the actor we want to spawn via the spawn manager. So if we bring that there, so we're basically saying this is the actor that we want to spawn. So before we destroy it, we're setting the reference of the object to spawn within the spawn manager, and then we're going to need to get the object spawn location. Which will most likely be the same there. Sorry, I'm talking out loud as I'm working, guys. I'm not ignoring chat. I can see chat out of my peripheral vision. Right, so set object spawn location. Now I'm not sure if this is going to look glitchy because we're already grabbing it here. And then the carry pickup is also okay, so now that we've got that data, we can now spawn object. So if we do spawn actor, basically get the object to spawn, get actor class reference. That should hopefully do the job. Let's see if it works. Ooh. Okay. No errors. We haven't set it as the physics handle, you bellend. This is what I mean when I was thinking about, yeah, it would make sense to bring that to front. So basically, grab component. Right, just bear with me, guys. Let me have a read of chat. It sounds like performance-wise, it may be better, Graham, by the sounds of your last few comments. Interesting how it would affect much smaller games, though. Does anyone know the answer to this question? If the physics handle is holding a component and I destroy the actor of that component, I wouldn't need to release the component because the actor's been destroyed. Or would that glitch out the physics handle? So we're getting the component, static mesh component. Static mesh component of the object to spawn. Okay. Let's see if this works. Okay, I've got an idea. In the it worked. So even though I'm in the spawn manager, I'm still technically doing this logic via the player. So Oh, sorry, let me read your comments, dude. Set what to null? Sorry. Oh, I did it! I'm so happy that works. Okay. Right, I just need to tick some jobs off of the list. So destroy object has been done there. We are spawning object. So before we destroy the picked up object, we're setting the object to spawn any object spawn location. And then the spawn object event is basically getting the object to spawn and doing that. Set object as physics handle, yeah. Add +1 to carry. Add +1 to carry capacity. Well, that is already been done. Where is that getting done? It's on the carry pickup, I think. Look at pickup is for highlighting the object. Where is the bit that adds +1 to the carry capacity? I'm sure it's under the first person player. Right, line trace. If you can pick it up, compare the carry capacity to the current inventory. If that's true, do that. Carry pick. Where the fuck am I adding +1? I feel like I'm going mad. Where have I done that? That's checking that we have space to carry it. Adding it to the array. That's saying the print string for our knowledge. And the carry pickup, we're setting the rotation. Nothing in there about +1 though. Look at pickup. Where the fuck am I doing the +1? Oh, I know where. I feel like I'm going mad. I feel like I'm going mad. You misunderstood my setup. Okay. Set is holding object. It's not in there. The spawn manager is setting the total objects. The level manager tracks how many objects there are. Dude. It's not going to be in here. I feel like I'm going absolutely mad. For the life of me, I cannot find the bit that is adding +1 to the carry capacity. I don't think I am. When we pick up an item, no, we're not, because it's automatically. We haven't got anything at the moment that's setting the carry capacity. So essentially, the array is acting as the counter. So, okay. I thought I was going mad for a moment, but I'm not anywhere in my code am I adding to the carry capacity. The thing that is prohibiting it is the length of that. So essentially this is the counter, the inventory array. So when we drop an item, we need to basically remove that item from the array, which should then in turn lower this. Okay, so add +1 to carry capacity. I'm gonna put an X by that because we don't need to add it. I'm gonna make a note, array acts as counter. Okay. Alright, so we've done the collect item logic. I'm just going to tick off some more things. Object spawn location. Player BP, begin play, set HUD reference. That's to do with the inventory slots on the UI. Move carry capacity variable to inventory manager. No. That should technically remain on the player, because if we introduce skills, we're going to want to increase those from there, I would say. Okay, so now what we're going, now that we've got that done, guys, that's working nicely. I've accidentally picked up a pencil. So if we pick up the stapler, and then we're full. Okay. So now what we need to do is picks up cited item and attaches it. Releases okie dokie. Do you have much experience of blueprints itself, Graham? Or are you more just C++? Right, so in here, we're releasing the components. So, okay, I just need to read through the logic that I planned out earlier, guys. Just bear with me. So we drop the item, we're going to add that held actor to set object to spawn. Now the reason why we're doing that is because spawn object, custom event, object spawn, respawned objects. Okay. I don't think I need to add that to another array. Because the spawn manager is going to be, the spawn manager will be the parent of that actor. Yeah. Okay. I mean, technically, I'm just looking at my logic. Because on the first person character, we're essentially removing the we're picking up the object, destroying it, and before we destroy it, setting the references. And we're like respawning it via the spawn manager. And that object, spawn object right here, the owner is going to be the spawn manager. So essentially, all we have to do is basically the UI on the HUD is going to be reading the inventory to populate the hotbar with necessary items. The right mouse click just releases. Right, this is where it's going to get tricky because we're going to need, as the player uses the middle mouse to cycle up and down with the middle mouse, they'll cycle through their hotbar of items that they have. So at the moment we're not just incorporating that, but what we need to do we need to basically remove um, right, this is where it's getting tricky because we've not yet done the mouse wheel up and down and sorted out the inventory integers and things. Switch on in. I mean, just for the sake of it, what we can do, we know that if we pick up one item, we know the object that we pick up is going into the inventory, so that'll be on the hotbar. So when we right mouse click, this logic will need updating to say get like the integer of the slot, and then oh my god, my brain is like shooting miles ahead here. I can visualize the logic. But just for the sake of testing at the moment and the carry capacity, we know that there will be one in the inventory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say we're going to have a look. That's working. So you can see the one there on the top left. We drop it. We pick up an item. Because at the moment I haven't set up the storage, but we really need a cursor. Right, so we've got a bug there, so the player can basically keep picking up objects. I mean, it's not necessarily a bug, but essentially, if the player's already holding an object and they Sorry, I'm having a bit of fun just chucking stuff around, guys. Sorry. Right, so when the players pick that up, if they're holding an item, we then want to set it so that item can't be clicked multiple times, because you wouldn't do that on an item you're already holding. Right, so what we need to do Um, Okay, so I think, right, so you see what's happening, guys. If I just talk you through this, we've got a bug at the moment. It's not a bug, it's just something that's not being done. So you can see that I've picked up an object. If I drop it, I release it. You can see we've got the 0 and 1. 1 means we're carrying one item. We drop it, our inventory is 0. But if I'm holding that, it's already highlighted. And I can click multiple times when we don't want that to happen again. So what we're going to have to do is under the under here, we're going to basically ignore visibility and camera, I think. Ignore visibility. Okay, so set trace channel to sorry, collision presets. So we need to set collision to ignore on visibility. On the static mesh, set collision. Visibility, ignore. There we go. We're no longer getting the highlight there, and we're not able to click through it. So if I pick up the white and then that one, right, so what we're going to have to do so basically if we drop an item, what we're going to have to do in this part is re-enable the highlight, because you'll see what happens at the moment. If I pick up this one, we can't click through. If we drop it, we're not able to do it because it's still got that collision as it's still still disabled. So in the release, we need to set the collision response of the static mesh. So that's object to spawn. Because essentially the dropped item, I guess what we want to do, because we know at the moment, if we pick up an item, we can't click through it, we know we've disabled the collision trace on visibility. So we right mouse click, we drop it again, and we can't do anything with that. So we should be able to do this from here. Because whatever we're releasing is the held object on the physics handle. So what we want to do is get returns the currently grabbed component. So before we release it, we want to get the grabbed component. So we know that's not connected, so we can test this. So if we go for the white ring, we click it, we can't see the trace. We click in, I drop it, and we can't do it again. So what we want to do is copy this, go into here, so that should now, at the moment it was default is block visibility. So whatever is being released, we're re-enabling the ability for it to be targeted, highlighted, and picked up again. Let's test it. I'll go for the white ring. So we're going to click that. Can't click it. We drop it. Okay. Alright, so in the inventory then, we're going to have something to say active object. This is where we haven't done much work on the inventory itself in terms of adding to the different slots and removing, but what I could do is this is interesting, isn't it? Ah, I see what's happening. It's because this is happening after. So we've already released the component, so it's trying to read data that doesn't exist because the physics handle is empty. So this basically needs to happen before that. You numpty. I'll show you that working. That's the fix. So we pick up, we drop, and it's not done it because it's happening after it's been released. So all we need to do, guys, is do a good old switcheroo. So we're going to get this and shimmy shanga that along, and then we're going to get this, disconnect that and that. That should now work. So we're hoping that when we pick up an item, the highlight will disappear, then when we drop it, it reappears. Oh yes, it's working. So it was literally just a matter of that we were setting the collision response to a reference that was no longer there because we had released the component beforehand, so there was no held object for it to set the collision response to. So we can now pick up, we can't click through multiple times, and drop, and then it's re-enabled the collision. So now I'm able to kind of focus other objects. Perfect. I'm really happy to see that working. Okay. So whenever an item is picked up, the spawn manager will be setting every item that is collected will essentially have the ability to highlight and click and select it again deactivated. So on that basis, we don't ever need to really do this stage again, because when the player has certain items in their inventory, it will be cycling. They'll cycle through, and that will change the object held by the physics handle. So whenever that physics handle right mouse is pressed by the player, we're re-enabling the ability to click, highlight, and pick it up again. So that I'm really happy with that. I'm just gonna shimmy this up a tad. There we go. Save all. Okay, so that is dropping item. Let me just check this. So add held object physics to set object spawn or active slot. We don't need to do that. Get world location. Oh, set object mode. Destroy object. Okay, so yeah, what we need to do when an item is dropped. Now at the moment, we're not destroying the item. On my flow planning of the logic, I've put destroy held object from the array inventory, but we don't need to do that, because what's happening on here is we're removing that object. We're removing it from the inventory. So when it comes to the inventory, we will basically change this so it would be, you know, whatever we put inside here. Because at the moment, the only purpose for the inventory array is to essentially act as a counter at this stage of how many items are held. And then yeah, we could basically have an item on the inventory called active object, and that could be object reference, and that will cycle through. That will cycle through the different slots, and then whatever slot that is, that will be the active object. And then under here, we Yeah, my brain's doing that thing where it's going hundreds of miles ahead. But at the moment, that works. It's doing what I need it to do. Walk over, it's highlighted, click it, we can't click through it. We drop it and the highlight's re-enabled. Let's do this one, click it, can't click through, drop it, pick it up, drop it again. So what I want to do is add a bit of force when an item is dropped. What the fuck is going on there? Okay. That is a lot of pens. It's a lot of pens, dude. And that was RP's name suggestion there. A brand, right well. It's pretty catchy, actually. Okay. So, what's the next step at this stage? Okay. I think that's. I'm very happy with that logic at the moment. I know I might be repeating myself. But I'm happy with the way that's working. So what I want to do is just go into the HUD. So here are the active slots. Okay. Right, something I wanted to do on a designer. I was looking into this earlier. Essentially at the moment what we have is we have a button and then we have an image within that button. But I don't actually need a button. The player is never going to be clicking these UI widgets. What they're going to be doing is essentially these are just acting as the inventory slots, and the idea is when a player receives an item, that item will be appearing here and it will be highlighted. So when they kind of have an object, it will have a yellow outer glow. That's why I had the button. But there is apparently a border widget. A border is a container widget that can contain one child widget, provided an opportunity to surround it with a background image. So if I put that on there and then put slot 1 image in there, border widget, So draw as border. Okay, I can kind of see it right, okay. Okay, that does a nice job, doesn't it? You see that, guys? That's actually really nice and clear. Okay, so if we change the colour to that, for example. Right, that's not done it. So I need to reset that to default. It's this one. Or would it be the brush colour? Brush colour, there we go. Can you see that on the hotbar? You see that yellow slot is highlighted yellow? I mean, what I might do is maybe... Okay. Alright, so if I copy that, delete, let's move this one into there, delete slot 1, and then rename that to slot 1. There we go. And then what we need to do is the image, we basically need to go to this, and I think background color 0.15 alpha. Is it 0.15? 0.15. Okay, hold on, it's a little tiny. Just trying to look. Okay. Alright, so now we just need to repeat the same for the other ones. So let's just add the other ones on there. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, that looks really nice. We need to decide on a colour for when an object is highlighted. We need it to be clear. I don't think it needs to be any thicker than that. I think it's quite clear when we've got the items and when we're skipping through. I feel like that's going to be quite clear enough. Lovely. We've got 4 inventory slots there, all highlighted. So the idea is, by default, we would have, for example, on the slot, we can have the render opacity. Oh no, we don't want that because that's affecting the whole thing. I think it was the brush color, wasn't it? Yeah, brush color. Yeah, so essentially the brush color under there, if we put the alpha to 0, there we go. Can you see that? So at the bottom left where we've got the slot, it's basically got no outline. So when an item is active, we would get the frame widget, what's it called? Border widget, and then we would set the alpha to 1. And that's how we give the visual feedback to the player of the slot that they've selected. What the fuck? Jesus. Okay. What's the time? 1:08. I need to go to bed soon, guys. Let's think for a minute. Right, we need to create a reference to the HUD on the player. I can't think of a project where I've got that. And the reason why we need to create a reference to the HUD under the player character is because the player is going to be the one that does middle mouse up, middle mouse down, which will cycle through the active slots. And that will be switch on int. So it would be like checking, is there an item in the next slot? How many slots are full? And then it would cycle through, going by this as well, the inventory. So it's going to be communicating with multiple things. So let's see if we can. Okay. Right, just bear with me. Right, we need to set get HUD. I mean, if we promoted that to a variable, there has to be an easier way to do this. That's kind of like MISC stuff. Game start events, that's the rotation I want to implement. Left mouse to pick up, right mouse to drop. So we're gonna need mouse wheel up, mouse wheel down. Hey Smooth, welcome to the stream, dude. You tried Blender? Did you enjoy it? Did you have a good time? Right, so your brain still hurts. There's a lot to learn. Don't expect to kind of do too much on your first session with it. There's so much to learn, especially if you've not used it before. There we go. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a print string. Just to check that the mouse wheel input is working. Perfect. You can see up the top left there, guys. You see those inputs? That's me playing with my middle mouse. So when I go right, I'm going to be selecting through the inventory. So we're communicating to the HUD correctly from the BP HUD. We've gone into there and taken the HUD reference and made it its own reference under the player blueprint. So now we can cycle through those slots. So essentially, on the hotbar here, what we'll do is we'll do a check to see is the array empty. If it is, those highlights, all of those highlights should be all of those slots should be empty. So it's basically, we don't want to do a variable for the image just yet. What we want to do is we want to do slot 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 and 4. We want to do those as variables. So if we turn that on there, we've now got those 4 slots as their own thing. So we're going to say it needs to kind of be on event construct, or it's almost like we have to have a custom event to say, because I don't want it being on event tick. I would rather have it so that every time we're interacting with the inventory, we can basically do a check at that point and say, is the inventory empty? If it is, then the slots should have no outline. The only reason it should have, if we just simulate, at the moment you can see it's got all 4 slots with the highlight. So on event construct, well, by default these should be as they are, but under the I think it was the alpha, wasn't it? It was the brush color. The brush color makes, yeah, it's the brush color. So set that to white, and that basically just needs to be 0. There we go. So its appearance, brush color, alpha is 1. So for each slot, it's like you need to have it's like if there is an item, in a slot, then we set the brush. So you want to have event sorry Smooth, let me just read your comments. Sorry dude. You managed to make a simple guy. Well done. Did your computer crash after the test? Oh, are you on about were you on about the test where I just simulated with all of the objects falling? Are you on about this? Okay, well thanks for watching, Smooth. You have a good night as well. Thank you, dude. And yeah, thank you for subscribing, and feel free to tune in anytime. Thanks for joining. Stay safe. Right, I'm just trying to think how to handle this, because we need to have a variable to define the active slot, and the active slot will be set based on the items held in the inventory array. Awesome, Smooth. I'm not sure. I might be on tomorrow night for another stream, a couple hours stream. So if you want to see some more dev, feel free to tune in tomorrow night around the same time. And take care, and I'll see you soon. Let's see if we can add a variable. If we just had the slots as an integer, so if I had this and called it active slot, and if we had the default value on that as 1, so it would align with the slots here. And what we do is we clamp that value when we're cycling, so it would never go below 1. I know computers count 0 as 1, but for this purpose and simplicity, we'll have the default value as 1, meaning the active slot is slot 1. So if the item is, if the array from the inventory manager, if that is empty, then there is no active slot, and we wouldn't highlight it. And to avoid event tick, because I know that can draw on systems, let's just try this. Let's try this. I've got an idea. I'm going to set a reference to inventory manager. And what we're going to do is when we cycle right, we're basically going to be checking we want to get the array, and then we want to get the length, and this is going to return how many objects are basically in the inventory. Okay, so then the idea is when we cycle right, we're going to get the length. If the length is greater than 0, so meaning there is one item, then we bear with me. Let me have a sip of the coffee. So get the length of that. If the length is greater than 0, so if it's 0, middle mouse will do nothing. If it's greater than 0, right, so if we go by the carry capacity, which is basically four slots, carry capacity is 4, but you want to go by that, so you want to say if it's greater than 0, then the selection would be that. So whatever the length of the array is the amount that you would be able to ping across. So we're going to add 4 slots here. Inventory manage ref, inventory, get the length. If that is greater than 0, then we're saying this is the amount we need to switch on. So if it's 2 items, it will just be the 2. So if it's 0,
Sale now on at AO. Get savings on TVs.
advert, sorry guys. It's not going to work, is it? Okay, sorry, bear with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically, if slot 1 is selected, we highlight it, we turn off the rest. If it's slot 2, because basically what needs to happen is, as we are, if we've got a full inventory, we just want to make sure that the active slot, yeah, I mean that will work. I mean, an easier way. I feel this bit's wrong. I mean, we shouldn't be able to cycle through. If the inventory is empty, we're not going to do anything. The mouse wheel won't do anything. If it's above 0, then we would switch, but it would be switched on the basis Oh, I'm gonna have to go to bed soon, guys. Let me just think. Just trying to get my head around this. See, this bit I haven't mapped out on paper, but I do know how it functions in my head. We basically need to say if the player has picked up an item, then that would be the slot, and we need to say essentially if they have two items, like if the player doesn't do anything, if they don't cycle through the items, if they are just collecting items, so for example, I don't know, white paper and then green paper, the moment they pick up a green paper, that will go in the slot on the inventory, and that would automatically be highlighted to indicate that's the held and active object. If the player then picked up a second object, that would then be the active object. And then that would also be the active slot. So essentially, whatever the active slot is, you would then minus it. So if we said, if the length is that, then we're gonna get the length. Hold on. No, that's not right. When we cycle right. Welcome to the stream, Snaker. That is the widget. It's a border widget specifically for I've got an image within the border, so you can see down here the image is a child, and this border does exactly what I need it to do. So it's basically got a a margin of 1, and it does highlight the object. So widgets inside widgets. So what, for inventories? Well, so they create a separate widget blueprint just for an item. Right, okay. I mean, the way I'm doing it isn't incorrect, is it? It's just a different method. Because the way I intended on doing it, I mean, this is exactly what this has. I've got 4 constant slots, which is what I want. And then with the intention of, I'm going to create still images of the game objects. And then based on the object that is in the inventory manager, my main pickup, it has a string variable, so I can go by that string name. No, that was getting displayed above the hotbar. Yeah, I mean, I've just got these as 4 constant slots, and the way I was going to do it was just have it so, like I say, I need to plan this out on paper the way this functions. I wrote down all of my logic for the picking up and dropping, and that works really nicely. But with this one, I was just going to have it so, you know, the way it cycles through. No, that's fine. I know there's probably people that have a lot more experience and knowledge in this. I mean, it is nearly 2 in the morning as well, where I am, but I need to plan this out. And I also need my assets, the item assets. Because the way this in the first person character, when something's picked up in here, we would, you know, set the we would set the active slot. I know. Thank you, dude. I don't know how much of the game you've been watching, the game development for this you've been watching, but once this is just all functionality at the moment, and it's going to be really nice when it's done. We've got a lot of levels planned for this game, like quite a lot. And when this first level's done, I'll be putting it on itch for people to try out. But there's a lot more assets to be modelled. The shop interior, quite a few textures to make. But like I say, I need to go through and make the individual assets just to ping the transparent images. So in Blender, I can go into all of the objects I made. I can frame them for a nice picture, and then that way I'm going to generate my thumbnails for the hotbar that way. And then the idea is that if the player didn't cycle through the hotbar and they were just collecting, like, I know there's probably different ways of doing this, dude. I appreciate your input. I'd rather try it my way first, because I know I can get it working how I've got it planned. And the thing is, there's in game dev, there's lots of different ways things can be programmed or made, and they all yield the same result. But then to refine it and make it more efficient, that's when you look in other paths and things. Let me just read your comments. So if you have, for example, 2 items in your inventory and you're currently holding one of them, it's active slot. For 2 items in your inventory and you're currently holding one of them, it's active slot. Yep. You pick up another one and then yes, that's correct. That's how I was going to have it. And then, yeah, so essentially if I didn't use the middle mouse up and down functions as cycling through the hotbar. So if the player didn't cycle through anything and they were just picking up objects. So if I picked up a white ream of paper, that would be the active slot 1. And then that would be the active object. If I was to pick up a second, then the second one would be the active object. So what we can actually do is we can get the right, we don't want them, if they don't have anything in their bag, we don't want them cycling through. They shouldn't be able to cycle through. So if it's that, then what we want to do is get the length, set the active slot to the length of that. And then whatever that is, but to be fair, let me just try something. Custom event, highlight slot. I'm just going to call it highlight slot. I'm going to unplug that, move this up here. So on highlight slot, we're basically saying we're setting the active slot integer. If I actually have that as 0, I was going to have that as 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So No, because if it's 0... hold on. 1 second, dude. Hey Hussein, welcome to the live stream. Thanks for tuning in. Highlight the slot. No, we don't want to do that. What we want to do is... What we want to do is get the... Yeah, that's what I was just thinking, because essentially, let me just turn that off. It's tricky, isn't it? Because 0... Fuck's sake. Yeah, you'd want to set it as active slot 1. It's a fucker because I'm going by the length of the array. So if there's 0 items in it, so active slot 0. Hold on, let's just get active slot. So highlight slot, that literally will just, whatever is the thing. So if we pick up an item, right, let's try this. Right, where we pick up an item, if we get our hard ref and oh, you bellend, I'm not triggering the highlight slot. I also need to just change the slots to 0 on the alpha, the brush. Compile, save. So now they should all be transparent. So now, if I select one, there we go. You see at the bottom left, we've got an active slot. So now if I was to do another one, you would essentially want to cycle through. But at the minute, this is what I mean, because that's a pain in the ass, because the way the switch on int works, the array length is, hold on, 1 second. If the array length is 0, if the array length is 0, so basically cycle slot would basically minus and subtract 1. Let's do that. Cycle slot right would essentially get the active slot. That can't plug in the same. Oh, it can. Oh, bro. Oh, for fuck's sake. Right, so essentially when we do our cycle up, cycle down, I don't even need that one. Right, that will do cycle right, cycle left. Here is where we're gonna set the active slot. Okay, so if we cycle left and right, we're getting the active slot number, which default is 0. And we're saying, I want that to be in the middle. You didn't connect bottom clamp and set node. Oh, apologies. Thanks, bro. I've got my extra eyes. Right, so what we can do, we can just test this and see if we can cycle through. Right, that's not cycle right. Get active slot. It's 0 by default. Cycle right, cycle left. +1, -1. Clamp at 0. Oh, it's because I've not done that, numpty. Actually, hold on. Hey, look! We can cycle through the inventory there. It's nice to see that working. Now, we only want to allow the player to be able to cycle through if the array is greater than 1, because there's no point in them being able to cycle through if there's nothing. If there's only one item, they shouldn't be able to go across. So then we want to say highlight the slot, but we want to say if, so we want to get the length you want to say if the length, the condition is that the length of the inventory items is greater than 1, because you wouldn't allow the cycling on one item. You'd need to have at least 2. And then the condition to do this as well, to go above, is based on, again, how many items. So it's tricky, isn't it? But that's the condition. There we go. Okay, we're making progress. We are making progress. So essentially, and in here, first person character, highlight slot, set active slot 0. This would need to be changed. I need to look at I need to plan out the logic on paper for this, because this limit is good. It works. So if we pick up one item, it's highlighted. I'm using my middle mouse If I drop it, I know it's still highlighted, ignore that. Right, so I can't move it, but then if I target that, so the array is now 2, we're able to cycle through, but we want to limit it based on the number of items. But it's a pain in the ass because this starts counting from 0, so it's almost like you want to get the active slot and then -1 in order for it to meet the requirements of that. Shit, I need to go to bed, guys. Inventory manager ref. Get the inventory, get the length. If it's greater than 1, we allow the scrolling. But we limit the scrolling. So it is almost like you need to get the length of that. And then minus. If it's greater than 1, if the length of the array is greater than 1, then we would basically get the active slot. We would get the length of the array and then -1, because the array, the moment one item goes in, it's got one item in there. So to make that one item meet the criteria of slot 0, we would need to -1 from the active slot. So it would be array length -1 and then set that as the active slot. Now I think that you seriously need a separate inventory slot, because when you cycle to the next one, you would just check if next slot has valid item structure. If you're using data tables, not data asset. I've not used data tables before. I don't know what a data table is. No, I'm not. I don't know what struct is. Sorry, I'm not an expert in Unreal. I've made quite a few games in it, but I don't know everything. Not ashamed to hold my hands up and admit that. Oh, you saw my itch. Thank you, dude. I'm most proud of my medieval RPG I made. I've had a lot of people say it looks like old school RuneScape, third person. My most recent one that I'm quite proud of is the space game. That was fun. A lot of work though. I mean, I think I'm going to have to call it here because I do need to go to bed. I've got to be up in 5 hours. But I appreciate all the help, Sneaker, and everyone else that's commented. I mean, we've got some good progress going here. everything's working quite nicely. And then we're gonna also add a nice little text just above the hotbar to indicate the name of the selected item as well. So so what I need to do on the next stream is probably generate the thumbnails for all of the items, and there's fucking, how many is there? I think there's 35. Fucking hell, 35 images. So I have to generate 35 images from all of the assets we've got in the game. And then once we've got the images, we can be setting the images in the image slots. So yeah, but there's a lot of things. It's got to be more than 45. Are you on about items in the array? Yeah, it will be. We've let me just show you the list. I've got a big list of oh yeah, I'll show you the list. I'm not gonna tell RP, welcome. Fucking hell, 10 people, welcome to the stream, guys. Do you guys want a tease? Do you want to see some of the levels that are gonna be in the game or not? Because I've had some people say I don't want to see what levels are coming. But we've got some really cool. We've got some really cool levels planned. I kind of want to show you guys just to tease you, like, of what's to come. Just the sheer scope of it. So, okay, and then I'll show you the remaining props. Okay. Right, can you see that? I'll read them out for those that can't see. One of the levels is based on sci-fi, so it's going to be to do with space, robots, planets, spaceships, aliens, laser guns. HMV is a UK store. It's essentially a shop that has primarily music and film and vinyls. So something similar to that. We're going to have a game store, so this will be like retro consoles, so you'll have like the cartridge cases like Mega Drive and SNES, N64, that kind, but it obviously wouldn't be the same IP. We would make mock-up you know, our own titles that look like their own games. A bookshop, stationery, which is the one we're doing. There's going to be a tabletop shop, which is essentially kind of what you'd expect if you walked into Warhammer. So we'll be modelling all sorts of cool stuff, loads of monsters, aliens, warriors, everything, and like dioramas. That's gonna be a lot of fun, but the most modelling, I would say. And then we've got children's toy store. So that will have all sorts of just toys, like a Toys R Us kind of thing. Medieval potion shop, blacksmith. So there'll be ingots, ores, blacksmith tools, loads of cool stuff. Cheese shop will have loads of different cheese, and just be quite. It'll probably make you hungry playing that one. Sweet shop. Well, that's the possibilities with that one are just going to be crazy. Chocolate store, a sushi bar, hardware store, so this will have like loads of tools and things. Corner shop is kind of like a UK term for an off license. I don't know what the American equivalent would be. Supermarket, so typical supermarket with fruit and veg. Arcades. I'm not sure how. I think this was my friend's idea that we're making this game together with. Forbidden Planet is a UK-based store that deals in collectibles like figurines and things. and an aquarium, so like a kind of pet store. And this is going to be the X-rated content, or should we say the adult content that will be 18 plus. So the core game will be family friendly, but in order to not restrict the demographic, we're making the mature content as DLC. So we've got these stores in red. So Ann Summers kind of knockoff. So you can expect dildos, butt plugs, gimp masks, all sort of crazy shit, and that is going to be so much fun to model. A pharmacy, so this will just have like pills and drugs, nothing bad, it's just a typical pharmacy. A hunting store that will have guns, crossbows, rifles, blowpipes, all sorts of cool stuff. Vape shop, and a liquor store that sells alcohol. The possibilities with this game are endless. Like, we've got a lot planned, and you can just see, going by that list, how much modelling is going to be required. I know, Sneaker, I know. And this is the stationery shop assets. So the ones with a hyphen at the beginning, I've already made. So these ones... Ooh. So where it says notebook, let me just... Those are the remaining assets on our list for the stationery shop. So yeah, we're gonna be modelling those, and probably a few extra items as well. Maybe a printer or something, I don't know. But I'm getting the functionality in at the moment. My friend I'm making this with, he has modelled some stuff, but he's not able to fully model at the moment until September. So I'm kind of doing the majority of things at the minute, but primarily just getting the functionality in. Thanks, Sneaker. We're keeping it as a two-man team for the time being, but we're going to be, well, I'm going to be live streaming all the development of the game. So all of any modelling that I do in Blender, I'll be live streaming. Any development in Engine, like you've been watching, you know, that will be streamed as well. So you'll see the whole process. It'll be quite fun. And obviously, you know, yeah, it's just going to be fun. Just having people watch and get excited. Have to redo my entire armature because I set my root bone at the root instead of the head. Oh dear. Unlucky, RP. Hope you get it sorted, dude. Right, so what I'm going to have to do, guys, I am going to have to go to bed because I've got to be up in less than 5 hours. But we've made some really good progress tonight. We've implemented the logic for, well, we've reworked a bit of the picking up and dropping objects, and the way that all works. We've got the inventory manager, which now tracks the items that have been picked up, and from that list we'll be able to populate the objects to appear in the slots. What else have we done? We've also fixed a bug, I guess, on the spawning object. So when you pick up an object, it was still remaining highlighted. So when you pick up an object, we changed the response channel to ignore, so it's no longer highlighted. And then when you drop the object, we're re-enabling it. So there's quite a few. I've got like 7 or 8 jobs to do that I've jotted down as I've been developing. So there's loads that we're going to be doing over you know, like the next kind of few stream sessions. But what I need to work on, what I want to work on at the moment is I need to generate those images, the icons for the hotbar, and we then need to look at this and make sure that the highlighting feature is working, and yeah, it's going to be good, guys. It is quite exciting. I'm really enjoying it. I love all kinds of dev. So if you enjoyed the stream, feel free to subscribe on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. Twitch viewers, if you want to see more, stay up to date, feel free to follow. I've got 3 playlists on my YouTube. There is a panel below. I've got videos for Unreal, Unity and Blender. There's hundreds of hours of content there. So thanks for joining me tonight. Stay safe, and I will see you guys in the next stream, which should be